What's up, guys, and welcome back to the doctor's office. I am Dr. Kaori Knight, here to give you a proper diagnosis and prognosis and everything comics and comic book characters. And today we have book 2 for Avengers versus Aliens, or Aliens versus Avengers. So if you remember, so long ago in the first issue, we had Valeria, who essentially sacrificed herself for them to kind of get an understanding of what was going on. And also, did you fart? You smell like corn chips. Also, my dog farted. It smells so bad. Anyway, also with that, after we lost her, Spider-Man and Venom got themselves a power-up because Venom ended up taking over a facehugger that tried to get Miles. So this starts off with, when I was talking in that other video about the first issue, and there was the man in the wheelchair, and I said I wasn't really sure who that is, it's Tony Stark. We find that out, okay, because I don't think his name was actually said in the first book, so I was very confused on who that was. So now that we are at the second book, we see who that is, or at least I do. So it starts talking about several thousand years prior to like a different universe, where this race of, I'm gonna call them androids, are basically looking over this planet and looking at the species of this planet, and they're just like, ugh, gross, sentient beings, kill them type thing. So they end up actually killing them and calling them ants. Then later on, they are talking about another planet of species that they don't deem worthy to really be talking about, and they actually decide they're going to go through a black hole and go to a completely different universe, and that is how we end up where we are. And in this conversation being had, it is the leader of these androids, or these synthroids, and Tony Stark, and essentially they have bought out Stark Industries to have them operate under the Weyland Corporation. Now, while Tony has signed over his company to be under the umbrella of this Weyland Corporation company, and they're having their little celebration, the lead Synthroid is just kind of like, I think that I may have been wrong about you, or was I wrong, because I was expecting this to turn into like a hostile takeover, and you didn't do that. Like, so was I misjudging you? Like, am I wrong? And Tony's like, have you ever heard the expression playing possum before? And he's like, no, explain it to me. So of course Tony goes into the things that Tony does, and as we know, Tony is very, very nosy, and he's very, very inquisitive, and he loves to look into things. So he did a lot of background digging on the Weyland Company and the leader of the Synthroids in particular, and he throws in some jabs and makes the Synthroid attack him. And he's like basically trying to choke Tony to death. Tony's like, playing possum, and literally like with his has his armor on his arm and shoots the guy's head off. Point blank, period. That was it. That was all. And then he has just his body laying on the table and his head surprised in a jar. Now, he does go back to have a conversation with Bruce, Carol, and Miles, and is like, we're leaving Earth. And Miles is like, I beg pardon? I beg your finest pardon. And he's like, we're essentially losing this. We're all gonna end up dying. Like, there is no stopping what is coming. And I do believe he even mentions the Weyland Company at this point. And there's no stopping what is coming. So, we gotta go. And he says, you're actually not even standing in a building right now. This is a ship. And Miles is like, again, I beg your finest pardon. And essentially what Tony did was build a colony ship to help reseed a new world. And there's like a city essentially built around it. So there are already people that are in there ready to go that he has been getting, he has been having Carol to get in there. And then he tells Spider-Man to go check on everything. Him and Venom are having like a little back and forth, and he goes to go check on the people who are already in, make sure their seatbelts are fastened and things like that. And him and Bruce and him and Carol are sitting there talking, and they're just like, we only have like this limited window of opportunity. We gotta go. So while they are in the ship getting ready to leave, he does send out the War Machine drones so that they can blow up these different areas. He's like, there cannot be a single seed anywhere near this ship. We cannot have an opening. There's no window. We can't. Like, it will screw everything up if this goes wrong. And to be perfectly honest, he is not wrong. So they are all, of course, doing their parts, and they're looking at the screens and everything. And one area where one of the War Machines was there, it didn't blow up. And so they're very concerned about that because there's not a failsafe or anything like that. It should have just exploded. And they look, it's Captain America leading people out of like a cave area to the ship. But they are late. So, and for some strangely odd reason, they cannot stop the launch. The reason that is strangely odd that they can't stop the launch is it's too risky, and they could have an alien attach itself to the colony ship, which would just put everything in danger, at risk, and it would all be for nothing. So he was like, we gotta go. Well, everybody else kind of is in a silent agreement. Bruce is like, I'll go then. I will go help him. And Captain America is on the ground fighting everybody, trying to get all these people to safety. He's fighting these aliens off, throwing a shield and everything. And he's like, Bruce, you can't leave. Like, we can't stop this. He was like, nope, it's cool. It's okay. What kind of person would I be to leave my friend down there to do this on his own? But again, he leaves, and Carol's just like, we either go or we don't go at all. Like, we either go now or we help them and don't go at all. And he's just like, launch the ship. And Tony is very hurt by this because I believe him and Bruce are very, very close. Carol is definitely hurt by this as well. And Miles is hurt by this because as far as it's been that they've been a team, they've been the Avengers, and this is essentially the end of the Avengers. And Tony even says that Bruce knew he wasn't coming back. He knew that he wasn't coming back. He was doing that, and honestly, you could say that he was doing it for Valeria. So they end up leaving, and Captain America and Bruce, who has now turned into the Hulk, are down there whooping ass. Man, that's a good story. I do agree with one of the comments on this. I was reading this story on where they said Hickman does not write heroes, and if he did, they would have never left. And this is facts. This is very true. He doesn't write heroes. He doesn't. And very true. They would not have left Captain America down there. They would not have left Bruce down there. They would have, busted their ass and everything. So I do want to see what's going to happen because we still have Black Panther and Azari out there. So I definitely, and at the end of this, we have like that alien species, which is the alien hybrids that we kind of saw in like Prometheus. They're at the very end. So I'm very, very interested in seeing how the rest of this pans out. 10s out of 10s for this story. It's amazing. But that is it for this episode of The Doctor's Office. And I will see you guys at your next checkup.